What if I told you that towards the end of World War II that all military decorum in surrenders was entirely thrown out the window by General Dwight Eisenhower? So yes, the tradition before this was that a surrendering general would meet the victorious general at their headquarters, and they would sit down, discuss strategy, have a a pleasant chat, maybe drink some whiskey or schnapps, um, and there would just be a very professional, very courteous surrender. This all changed in 1943, however. You see, Eisenhower, as the Allies started moving eastward through France and Western Germany, the American troops discovered the concentration camps. And they brought to Eisenhower, I don't know if it was Bergen-Belsen, but I can't remember which one, if it was Dachau, but one of the ones that they discovered along the way, he brought himself to one of the liberated camps. And the stench of death and barely living Jews was unbearable to him. And these men and women were emaciated. Some of them were near death. Many of them already were dead. And so he saw the horrors of the Holocaust and just decided that the German Wehrmacht and the German SS generals were no longer honorable opponents. Understandably so. And so Eisenhower installed a new policy. When a German general surrendered, they didn't do the honorable things that they were used to, or, just allow a German general to carry their pistol, or allow them to, or even salute them. They would salute each other traditionally. But after this, that went bye-bye. Because Eisenhower came to the dark realization that these are not honorable generals. This was not an honorable military battle as traditionally was held. Instead, what he had his own generals do from Patton on down was basically, once the German generals came in making their demands and stuff, the American general would just turn around, turn their back towards them, and say nothing, no hand salutes, none of the usual courtesies. In a couple of famous surrenders, Eisenhower would only say 3 or 4 words, which was basically, do you understand the terms? And then the short answer, and then that was it. No further conversation, certainly no exchange of alcoholic beverages, no allowing the generals to carry their swords or pistols, whatever the case may be. It turned from the show of respect at surrender to the ultimate disrespect. And in my eyes, it was deserved. These were not honorable military men. These were horrific monsters who carried out the wishes of Adolf Hitler on the field. And outside of the concentration camps, of course, there was the situation where what the Germans did when they were heading east through Russia. The Soviets didn't have any patience or time for these generals either. They disrespected them just as bad, if not more so. A lot of them actually took their revenge out on a surrendering German general by killing them. As revenge, because many of them had family and friends who were likewise treated so by the German Wehrmacht on their way east. The Holocaust was a moving event. Jews were killed in the Soviet Union. They're part of the overall 6 million count. Not being a citizen of Germany did not spare these victims that particular type of treatment. So the Russians did not have the same. They had the same disrespect and disdain for German military leadership as the Americans did, or the British did. Eisenhower believed this, and he instructed Patton to treat them the same. And it went from Patton and the Third Army through to every general on down the chain. It got really interesting when it came to black generals on the American side. Their disdain for German generals was off the charts. It made Eisenhower's orders seem tame. They wouldn't even look at these men. The German generals had such a high ego of themselves that they would demand to see the highest ranking general available. Many of them would demand to see Patton or Eisenhower. If they saw Patton, they would demand Eisenhower. In previous war events, this made sense. But to demand that kind of respect when they were the monsters that they were, architects of the Holocaust, executors of the Holocaust, there was just no room for traditional courtesies at all. If they surrendered, it was done in the coldest, darkest manner possible, with the least respect possible given, depending on who was accepting the surrender. Again, if it was a black general, the amount of respect was zero. So there it is. It's basically, what if I told you that 1943 and World War II was when all professional courtesy with military surrenders went completely out the window. Now, take this to the present day, and I'm thinking of the Iran conflict. Would this repeat itself if we have IRGC commanders and generals surrendering to Israeli and U.S. generals? I happen to believe that the Eisenhower plan would actually still be in effect. If it hasn't been in effect the entire time, it will be reissued. Of course, the IRGC generals have not perfected a killing machine, but the respect to be given to them as military men is probably zero. So I believe that this will repeat itself again in the modern day. So yes, Eisenhower had no respect for the German generals. All the traditional courtesies, he specifically ordered them thrown out the window. So that is my episode for today. I'll think of something different for tomorrow. I'm kind of all over the board lately. And so that's it. I will see you guys next time. Peace out, homies.